Peoples of the worldwide federated internets, what's good? Second video for today. This is going to be extremely short. I just have some questions that I think we should all ask, and I think they really do need answers. So, I've been thinking more and more about this idea of disbanding the police, abolishing police. You know how I feel about it. I've already stated that. So, I don't know much about gangs, and to anybody out there who follows me, who are your ex-gang member, you have a lot more in-depth knowledge about gangs, please feel free to either correct me in the comments, send me a DM, or what have you. I am not opposed to being corrected if I'm wrong. But as far as I know, most gangs, I believe just about all of them, started with the purpose of community policing and protecting the community, if I'm not mistaken. Now, how has that worked out? What has that led to? If we do community policing, who do these community police squads report to? Who are they liable to? Who holds them accountable? Do they report to the federal government? Are they held liable to the federal government? If not, what keeps these groups in check? What authority? Whose authority? How does this all work? Now, I'm not saying on its face it can't work, but let's just think about that for a minute. These are just my thoughts. My mind is racing because I believe there's a lot going on in the country. And I believe we are all reacting emotionally without sitting down, taking a breath, and thinking through these issues. And I have said this before in a previous video, in a previous podcast. I have said one of the worst things you can do is react or act when you are emotional. You're normally not thinking clearly when you're emotional. I've done this in my own life. I've seen this play out in my own life. What happens when you react off of emotion instead of taking a breath, sitting back and saying, okay, let's think through this. If we establish community police squads and they are responsible to the local state government, then that's the same thing as the police. They're responsible to the local state government. So what changes? Why couldn't we just reform the police force we had? These are just my thoughts. I'm not saying they're 100% correct. And if you disagree and you have a valid disagreement, please feel free. Write in the comments why you disagree. DM me if you don't want to write in the comments. Maybe I'm wrong. If community policing ends up how gangs have ended up moving forward, then what do we have left in the country? Well, what we have left is warring factions who disagree and different warlords who rule in different areas. We've seen this play out. One gang controls this hood, the next gang controls this hood. There's a gang leader, he controls the rules of the land, what gangs are supposed to do. But anybody who's grown up in the hood, we know the savagery that's born out of this. We can turn a blind eye and act like we don't know how this works out, but we all know how this works out. Is this what we really want? Now, in my message earlier, I went over that verse in the book of Proverbs about pride going before contention and a haughty spirit before fall. Are we so lifted up in pride that we think we've won this victory, that we're calling for our own destruction? I saw this story and I just briefly started reading this story where on a Gateway Pundit, where George Floyd's family is reported to have petitioned the United Nations to help them defund police in the United States. This is what I'm going to say. I am not in favor of any globalist UN group having any kind of authority in the United States at all. Period. At all. I'm not in support of that. And I can defend that position from the Bible. And I may do a video where I do just that. But I am not in support of that at all. And that had me questioning how, again, as I said in my earlier video, look at how fast this is going. Why would his family petition the United Nations? Whether you like President Trump, whether you hate President Trump, whether you think he's a racist, all of that is irrelevant. That's the highest office in our land. I am 100% positive he is open to talking to Mr. Floyd's family. Why didn't they go talk to the president? Why have they not petitioned the president and asked him to get more involved as far as reforming the police force? Why haven't they brought ideas to him? Why didn't they get a panel together, a group of people together, and come to him and say, hey, this is what we want to do? You know, President Trump, again, whether you dislike the man and whether you hate the man is irrelevant at this point. He's the president of the United States. He put out a call for people to come talk to him about criminal justice reform, which would have included policing. There's some prominent figures that had an opportunity to go and speak with him. Meek Mill being one of them. Jay-Z instructed Meek Mill that would not be a good look. In what universe would it not be a good idea to go talk to the highest law official in the land about criminal justice reform? I feel like I'm in clown world right now. Like, none of this makes sense. People are not paying attention and just buying what they're told wholeheartedly without giving any thought. It is imperative. I'm telling you, watching what's going on, it is very vexing to me because I'm seeing people not paying attention to very simple things that just would occur at a cursory glance. This doesn't take rocket science. A cursory glance, you can survey the news landscape. You can survey the information landscape and see what's going on and easily say to yourself, nah, B, none of this makes sense. What clown world am I in that any of this makes sense? Ask these questions, get some answers, talk to your people. Stay frosty, people.